You're listening to Straight Outta Stratford 203 with Zach and Julian, the best sports podcast in Connecticut. Sit back and enjoy the ride in 3, 2, 1.
Straight Outta Stratford, slinging takes like Stafford, talking all the big games, have a beer right after. When it comes to the facts and the stats we provide, better know that our names will be up in the rafters.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Straight Outta Stratford podcast, episode number 17. I'm your host, Zach, along with my co-host,
Julian. What's going on, guys?
We had another awesome week of sports now that the baseball season has reached the championship series. We also have hockey starting to get a little bit more underway. We have basketball starting very soon, which we'll start to analyze at some point as well. Obviously, football, we just had started week 7 with a crazy upset last night as the Bengals beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in an upset game. These Thursday night games have been nuts the past couple of weeks.
I wouldn't have predicted that. I had Steelers all the way.
As I would have.
I know what I said about the Steelers in the beginning of the year, how they were a big hit or miss team, but I'm starting to take that statement back.
Yeah, I would take it back a little bit
because
as well, too.
I only mentioned they were a hit or miss team because of the fact nobody knew how Rodgers was going to play.
And Rodgers actually played really well last night, too.
And I'm not taking away from the talent on the team. I think that they are a very good team, and that the moves that they did make in the offseason were very good.
Yeah.
I do see them winning that division.
Yep, I could potentially see that. Well, especially with the way the division's played out so far.
And I actually, if they keep playing the way that they do, I wouldn't be surprised if they're right up there with either the 1, 2, or 3 seed going into the playoffs.
That may cut it a little bit close. I could potentially see it happening, but if they
right now the
AFC
East is, or not AFC East, but the AFC in general is just.
Yeah, it's a little bit weaker than it has been in prior years.
And I know that they're in the North, not the East.
Yeah. Nah, I would hope that you would know that.
I do know that, yes.
Well, especially with them as well, too. To kind of go off of that whole thing, the Steelers actually did play really well last night, but the one that kind of killed them was Joe Flacco. Played very, very well.
I was gonna say that a lot of people were like just brushing over the fact that Joe Flacco got traded to the Bengals, and then we're like, okay, great. Maybe Jamar will get more fantasy points.
Well, Jamar did get way more fantasy points. He, at least in the league that I'm in, he got 38.1, 16 catches, 161 yards, and a touchdown or something like that. Regardless, that dude went absolutely crazy last night. Of course, I'm playing against him in fantasy this week. What a surprise. All the weeks that I don't play against him, he does completely fine. And then the one week that I do end up playing him, and he goes for 38.1. Fantastic. But
we also saw the resurgence of Jaylen Warren.
Yeah, Jaylen Warren played really well. I think he had, 120-something rushing yards and a touchdown as well last night, too.
Chase Brown played fairly well, too.
Yeah, Chase Brown had a very good game. Overall, that was a very shocking thing. If anything, I would have expected that maybe the score would be a lower score in that game, just because, quarterbacks are both a little bit older in age.
Battle of the retirement home.
Battle of the Unks, or they called it the Unction. Yeah, that was
Unction,
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting game. But like I said, those Thursday night games so far, especially the past couple of weeks, have been
last
nuts.
Week was Giants-Eagles, and that was all another upset.
Yeah, and the week before was Rams-Niners. And I'd say the last 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, have been absolutely crazy. But we'll get back into football at some point. I just kind of wanted to bring that up because I know that was a crazy game last night. It's a good way to kind of start out the week 7. But we will talk about baseball currently right now because we do have the championship series going on for both the National League and the American League. We saw Seattle storm out and take a 2-0 lead in the series, winning both of their games in Toronto. And everyone was thinking, Seattle's heading back home. They're going to, they got 3 games now that they get to play in front of their home crowd. They should be able to pull away and win the series fairly quickly. You don't want to let the Blue Jays back into it.
No, I thought they had 2 games to play against.
No, it's 2-3-2.
Okay,
yeah. That's been a little different of a format. But at least, like I said, they had 3 games. They figure, even if we lose one, you could win the series 4-1. or sweep in 2 games, and Toronto stormed back. Bats woke up big time. A lot of extra base hits for him. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is killing it.
He's going to be, doesn't even matter if they make the World Series or not. He's going to be postseason MVP.
I would not be surprised if he is postseason MVP. He's had quite the run. I know there were a lot of people that were killing him for at least the beginning of the Yankee series. But
as much as I am very like, don't like Vlad at all. He's too cocky, right? The dude can play.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the league's best superstars for a reason.
You don't really see this level of him that often.
Well, to an extent, no.
To an extent, but what I mean, like, you don't see him go in a series. You don't see him go 6 for 7 throughout the first 2 games.
Yeah, well, that's what I believe he did the last 2 games of this series. Is he's 6 for 8 with multiple home runs, several RBIs to add into it.
Vlad is just on another level right now.
Even Jimenez has been hitting extremely well the past 2 games for them. George Springer's been a big piece for them. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure they still don't have Bo Bichette playing either.
They do not.
Which, that's
future
a whole...
Yankee shortstop right there.
Well, yeah, hopeful future Yankee shortstop for you. But, no, they've been very, very impressive so far this series. Like I said, everyone kind of thought that once Seattle took that 2-game lead in Toronto that they'd kind of pull away with it, because Seattle does have a great roster. Their pitching staff is very strong. But Toronto made a statement, won the past 2 games. Now you got yourself a big series. But now if you look at the other side.
When's Game 5 tonight?
No, I believe well, if it's in Seattle, it should, I believe, be tonight. Either that or it would be on Saturday. I think, if you are correct, I think that it should be tonight.
Because it's in Seattle. It's not a travel
It should
day.
be in Seattle. If I'm not mistaken, it is tonight at 6 o'clock in Seattle. So that's going to be the major tell of how this series will end up playing out. Obviously,
it's gonna be the winner of this series loses to the Dodgers in the World Series.
Well, to be honest with you, that's where we're gonna kind of go with it. I think that the Dodgers end up winning in 4. That team is extremely good. The pitching staff is back to being healthy. Bullpen looks much better, and obviously when you
Blake Snell looks like prime Blake Snell.
Yeah, Blake Snell looked great. I believe it was Yoshinobu Yamamoto went and pitched a complete game in Game 2. Then they got a great outing from Tyler Glasnow in Game 3. I mean, the pitching staff has been there, but it's also, look at the lineup. When you got Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez.
I'm going to say that. I'm going to speak upon that. Aside from last night, Ohtani really hasn't showed up in the playoffs. He was in a really, really, I think it might have been the longest stretch of his career without, like, getting a hit. He was 1 for 19.
Well, yeah, he did really well against Cincinnati in that first 2-game, or best 2 out of 3 series, where obviously they won in 2 games and he had a couple home runs. But after that, he really hasn't done all too much. Now, obviously, the pitching is better as you start getting further down the road of the World Series.
I know, but at the same time,
they do the same thing with Judge.
They do the same thing with Judge. If he doesn't do well, it's on him.
Of course.
But with Ohtani, right? Ohtani's like right up there for National League MVP this year. Although I do think it could go to Kyle Schwarber.
That's something that I don't think that should happen. I mean, listen, granted, I think, he had 58 home runs this year?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I find it to be very, very strange if you give a most valuable player award to a DH. He does not play the field at all. And he's horrible in the field when he did play. He's one of the worst fielding outfielders in baseball.
He's
hits
played
the
the
crap
field
out.
a few.
Yeah, but he's not good. He's slow. His arm is okay. I mean, he can keep things in front of him, but if you hit the ball into the corner, he's going to take a pretty decent amount of time to get to the ball. He's not going to really be able to play it like some of these other premier outfielders do.
When they played the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, he turned into like a defensive god.
Well, it's also a smaller ballpark. Doesn't got to run as far to cover some ground. But you play at some of the bigger ballparks in baseball, it will be a little bit tougher for him. But granted, going back to kind of the whole MVP conversation as well, I just don't see him potentially. I mean, obviously he may win it, but if it was me, I'd probably still give it to Shohei. The guy had 50-something home runs, probably stole upwards of 20 bases. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was in the 30s. He pitched multiple games this year, had a fairly decent ERA. The guy's the most valuable player in the National League, quite possibly baseball. But I could see why it kind of bothered you a little bit with the whole Ohtani situation of him not performing. But, well, he's up there. Don't act like he's not. Him and Judge are neck and neck. But what I'm saying is, with Judge, when he wasn't performing in the playoffs, people were very on his case. A lot of other fan bases were saying, oh, well, he's not clutch. He's not clutch. Oh, look at Aaron Judge, how clutch he is. He's not built for the postseason. So I get it. A lot of people are going to judge Ohtani about that as well. So it makes sense, but it's really not well warranted. He's still a great player.
They can't say that this year, though.
No, they cannot. He performed very, very well during the playoffs for them. If anything, he was one of the only.
Judge batted .500 in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, he was one of the only guys that really performed on that
and
roster.
And when they needed
year,
it the most, he had a 3-run home. Doesn't matter that it hit the foul pole.
Hey, a home run's a home run.
Exactly.
Home run's a home run. So they could say all they want about that. I'm not even a Yankees fan, and I'll come to his defense on that. You can't say that the guy's not a great ball player. I'm sorry. He's not clutch.
there were struggles in prior years, but
well, everyone's going to have their own struggles in the playoffs. That is one of the hardest things to play is during the playoffs. It's a whole different environment, different atmosphere. The pressure's a lot more. It's not easy. Anyone that says it's easy has never played a sport like that where the pressure's on you in your life because they'll never get to experience something like that. So let them all get mad about it all they want. Now that we kind of know where the series sit, obviously we see Milwaukee down 3-0. Seattle and Toronto neck and neck tied at 2-2. Obviously, we have predictions of who we think. Who do you want to win the World Series? Out of those 4 teams. Obviously, I know you're not going to want Toronto.
I'm not going to want Toronto.
You probably don't want the Dodgers.
I don't want the Dodgers.
So it's either between Milwaukee, who's pretty much out, or Seattle.
I know that voting for the awards doesn't take the playoffs into account.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see the argument being made already. Oh, Cal Raleigh led the Mariners to the World Series. Maybe he is the MVP over Joe.
Yeah. Well, so who do you want to win the World Series?
If I had to choose,
you want Seattle?
It would be Milwaukee, but Milwaukee's not going to make it.
Yeah. Well, for me at least, the thing that would have been really cool would have been if both Milwaukee and Seattle made it, because both teams have never won a World Series in their franchise history, so regardless of who won, you'd have a first-time winner. I know a lot of people are sick and tired of seeing the Dodgers win because the Dodgers are, second highest payroll in baseball, and people are not a fan of it. I get it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're the ones that do end up winning. I want Seattle to win. Obviously, as a Mets fan, seeing the issues that the Mets have had with Milwaukee, whether it be like losing against them, but not even just that. It's more of like the benches clearing issues that they had throwing at batters. I know Rhys Hoskins is still on the team. He was not a big fan of the Mets, and the Mets were not big fans of his. I don't want Milwaukee to win. I would much rather it be Seattle. But
if I had to make a more realistic option, I would probably choose Seattle as well.
Yeah. I mean, they're a fun team to watch. They got a lot of good talent with Polanco, Julio Rodriguez, Randy Arozarena, Josh Naylor. Like I said, the pitching staff, well, Cal Raleigh, obviously. The pitching staff is really good with Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert,
George Kirby,
Luis Castillo. I mean, they have a great lineup. And it's just, I really do hope that they win, but there's just that one side of me that sits here. Realistically, and I'm saying to myself, I have a feeling that the Dodgers are going to end up winning the whole thing. And that's going to spark another big thing we'll talk about very quickly is I see a lot of people saying that if the Dodgers do win, that there's a good chance that this will probably push the MLB to a lockout in 2027 because there's going to be meetings with Manfred and the Players Committee about whether there should be something done in regards to a salary cap or a salary floor. A lot of players may not like that. I don't know.
I don't think there should be a salary cap.
I don't think there should be a salary cap, but I think there should be a salary floor a little bit because I feel like a lot of even the bottom-feeding teams, I mean, you look at the amount of money that they still make a lot of money. There's no team that's not making money. So it's just the owners are not prioritizing spending the money. They would rather either keep the money or do something other than buying players with their money. So I think that each team should have a limit on the least amount of money that they could spend during an off season or during the year. I think that would help kind of balance it out. But at the same time, it's hard for the whole salary cap issue. As a Mets fan, I know people are going to say, oh, well, of course you're not in favor of there being a salary cap because you want Steve Cohen to continue buying talent. And it's like, well, that's what the Yankees have done for years as well, too, is use the money, prioritize it, go out and get yourself the top free agents, and go win yourself a World Series.
Oh, they haven't done that.
Well, not, you know what I meant. In their past history, that is something that they did under previous ownership.
Although, according to Cashman, Hal said he was frustrated and he wants another championship here. So,
what happened? He finally woke up from bed?
yeah, I mean, you had your shot 2 seasons ago, and you had Judge and you had Stan, who was playing very well, and you had Soto. And at the trade deadline, what did you do? You had a Jazz Chisholm, and that was it. So you had your chance right there. That was the golden opportunity.
And you dropped it.
You dropped it.
Yeah.
Now what you have to do is you have to pivot. You have to go get Cody Bellinger back. Also, by the way, I love the fact that when Cashman was asked if bringing Bellinger back was a top priority, he says, we're not at that point yet. We don't know. Because it's better off that he said that instead of saying yes. Because then if he had said yes, it's a top priority, all the leverage would have went straight to Scott Boras.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that Scott Boras is still his agent. Oh,
If
God.
Cashman had said yes, Scott Boras would have had all the leverage in the negotiation tactics.
Yeah, he would have been saying, give me $500 million. Now, granted, he's not worth that. I'm sorry. But, yeah,
I think
Scott Boras is horrible.
Scott Boras, not only is he horrible, but all the leverage would have went to him.
And that's something you do not want.
You do not want that. Because then if Cashman says, no, we're not giving you that money, he's like, well, we have you on camera saying that bringing him back is the top priority. And if you want to, like live up to what you said for your fans, this is what the price is going to be.
Yeah, so I'll look at the camera, even though I know he's not going to see this, but I really hope he does. Scott Boras, you suck, dude. Horrible. The amount of people that you've screwed over in regards to their contracts is ridiculous. That dude needs to hang him up and
Jordan
go find
Montgomery.
himself a private island. Go somewhere, please. Because I'm not a fan of his either. He did the same thing with Pete Alonso's contract. The guy's a scumbag.
Did the same thing with Jordan Montgomery, too.
Trust me, there's probably a countless list of names that you could say that he's done something to in that regard. So, Scott Boras, I'm not going to use any profane language here, but you're a scumbag, and you really should think of maybe a different profession or just hiding from the people, because you've screwed a lot of people over, including top players in baseball. So he'll never learn his lesson until people start dropping him, but I don't know how many people are.
Well, that's what Montgomery did. He signed with the Diamondbacks immediately, and he dropped Boras.
That was the smart Jordan Montgomery. Very, very intelligent, my brother. That was very smart. Scott Boras is literally a scumbag.
It was I think he's Bregman's agent too.
Are we not surprised?
But if you look at it, the last 2 off seasons, right? He had players going into spring training.
I'd love to know his full client list that he's got. It's probably disgusting the amount of people that he's got under his agency.
I believe it was 2 seasons ago, right? It might have been 3 off seasons ago. Going into spring training, he had Jordan Montgomery, who was coming off of a World Series, who still hadn't signed a deal. And Cody Bellinger, who opted out of his contract with the Cubs.
Oh, my God.
And he didn't have a deal going into spring training.
Oh, my God.
Is
that legit?
What?
I really hope that's not legit.
What?
Because I don't even know if I want it.
Is it Scooble?
No.
Paul Skeens?
Juan Soto.
Yeah, I knew Juan Soto was his
Garrett
client.
Cole, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, Corey Seager, Xander Bogaerts, Max Scherzer, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, the infamous Anthony Rendon, Cody Bellinger. He actually had A-Rod. I did not realize that.
I didn't know
Alex
that.
Bregman. A lot of former Yankee players on here. Johnny Damon, Mark Teixeira, Carlos Beltran. I mean, obviously there's more, but it says that the most prominent ones that are in the league right now are Harper, Cole, Soto, Seager, Alonso, Altuve, Bellinger, Scherzer, Bogaerts, Correa, Rendon, Snell, Simeon, and Matt Chapman. Those are the main ones.
Yeah. I forgot Blake Snell was his client.
What in the hell? Now, granted, those are all insane amounts. Like, those players are not some scrubs. Those are some of the top players in baseball. All of the ones that got big money contracts, too. Except for maybe, like, Shohei.
Or Scherzer.
And Scherzer, I believe, is on there.
No,
as
he's
well.
on there, but he didn't get a big money contract.
Well, he did a couple years ago with the New York Mets, so that's not true. He's gotten big money in his career when he should not have deserved the big money, and they gave it to him. I don't know how much the Blue Jays are probably paying him now. It's not near what the Mets pay him.
That's what I meant.
But yeah, regardless,
you look at the contract that
that's insane.
Yankees gave Cole. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know if Stanton's on there either, but still, it's like
I you know what I was just about to say. I think Boris was Stanton's agent at one point.
Good God,
because
he's rolling with the money. Oh
yeah, Scott Boras
God.
probably makes a lot of money.
Yeah, that's why I said he's probably not even going to watch this. But I hope this does get to you. A lot of people do not like you.
You ruin baseball.
Yeah, he has ruined baseball big time.
You got a lot of things that were some kind of ruined, like, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that he has ruined. A lot of things that he's ruined in regards to baseball.
Even though Cashman didn't reach out to him when Harper was a free agent, could have called the Yankees, you know.
Could have.
Should have.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's all over now. But now I know that they were talking about. You saw what I believe it was one of the Phillies management. I don't know if it was the owner or somebody came out and they asked, how do you feel about Bryce Harper going forward? Do you think he can return to an elite level? And the guy answered, no, I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. I don't remember the exact full quote that he said, but it did not look good. And there were a lot of people like, if I was Bryce Harper and his agent, which I believe, like I said, is Scott Boras, I would be calling to get him the hell out of Philadelphia if that's the way that you're going to respond. He's one of the best players, or at least one of the best hitters, not so much a fielder anymore because I know he's had arm issues, but one of the best hitters in baseball. And you're going to come out and say, I don't know if he could return to an elite form. Like, what are we talking about?
Brian Cashman get on the phone.
Yeah, there's Steve Cohen get on the phone.
Brian Cashman get on the phone.
Well, the only reason why I say Steve Cohen is because that would really burn Philly. Is if he went from Philly to the Mets, that would burn.
Yeah, but I don't think Philadelphia would do that.
Well, they have enough problems anyway because I'm hearing that they may end up waiving or cutting or trading Nick Castellanos. And then you also have Kyle Schwarber, who I believe is a free agent at obviously this offseason.
So is Realmuto.
So they're going to have a lot of issues going into next year, something that they really need to build on. But
you know what? No, but the Yankees already have too many DHs. Forget about it.
You don't need any more.
We don't need Schwarber.
Stop. No, listen. You get Schwarber, I'm done. Then I hope that there's a lockout in 2027 if you get Schwarber. Okay,
that would be a problem.
Enough is enough.
That would be a problem at Yankee Stadium.
Yes, it would be very big because he's lefty bat too, so that would be a very, very big problem. But anyway, we can kind of transition a little bit into hockey. Obviously, is why I wore the jersey. I watched the Rangers game last night.
They win.
No, they did not. They lost in overtime, so they at least secured a point. They did play very, very well again. They sit at 2-3-1 on the year. Obviously,
they still have one at home, right?
I'll get there. They're 2 wins, 3 losses, 1 overtime loss, obviously, which came last night. And a couple days ago, which I believe was on Wednesday night, they set an NHL record for the longest home goal drought in NHL history. They have not scored in 3 consecutive games at home to start the year, which is 180 minutes of hockey with no goals at home. The only other team that actually has a longer drought than that is not even a professional hockey team anymore, and it was the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1928. They're not even a hockey team anymore. And they went 187 minutes, so basically 3 games in 7 minutes with no goals at home. The Rangers may end up breaking.
There were 2 Pittsburgh Pirates in the state of Pennsylvania.
Well, I don't know if the Pirates baseball team was there at the same time as the Pirates hockey team, but obviously they have the Penguins now. I'm assuming that's probably a very similar franchise or the same that just ended up transitioning into the Penguins.
Like the Texans and the Oilers.
Exactly. So I would not be surprised, but still, 3 games, no goals at home. I feel so bad for the poor sap who went to all 3 home games to start the year because you know that there are Ranger fans that are out there that said, they go to almost every single home game. Imagine going to all 3 home games and not even seeing them score 1 time. Not once. I'd be pissed. Because hearing the goal song in that stadium, when they score, is a peak moment at MSG.
I have to go to a Rangers game.
I'm telling you, dude, it's awesome to go. One of the best environments. Oh, see, You're missing out. I'm telling you, it'll change the way you look at hockey. I recommend all of you guys, if you've never been to a hockey game live, if you have the opportunity to go to any of them, granted, it doesn't even have to be Madison Square Garden because the hockey environment's crazy. But
I've been to hockey games, but I just haven't been to a Rangers game.
But that's where I'm kind of heading with it. Is if you go to a Rangers game, it will definitely change the way that you look at hockey. That place is electric. Madison, especially when they're good, Madison Square Garden is nuts. There's a reason why they call it the world's most famous arena. That place is awesome.
I might either try and go Rangers, or I might go to a game where there's a better chance of the team winning, and might go see the Knicks play.
Hey, don't doubt the Rangers. I've actually never been to a Knicks game either. I want to go. The tickets are super expensive. I'm going to try and go at some point, but at least with the Rangers,
we'll go together.
Yeah, I'm down. My boys are all wanting to go too, so we could figure something out.
Yeah, we'll
a nice
go.
big group to go.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if you've never been to a Rangers game at Madison Square Garden, it's quite the experience. I love going. I've been to multiple games. Actually, every game I've gone to, they've never lost at home. I've gone to 11 games in my life, and they're 11-0.
I know. I went to one game, professional. Well, not really professional, but I went to basketball game at MSG, and the atmosphere was.
Who, though?
I saw UConn play.
Oh, well, yeah, that's up there because UConn basketball is legit. So,
yeah.
But obviously, when the Knicks are good, this would be a great year to go see the Knicks play, especially since this is probably going to be one of their better shots to really do well this year.
No Tatum, no Halliburton.
No Tatum, no Halliburton in the East. They have one of the better squads, even though we did just see Malcolm Brogdon retire.
Yeah, Malcolm Brogdon just retired.
So, Ben Simmons, congratulations. You're a New York Knick, most likely. I would not
please do not say that.
I know it was a joke. I really don't want him on the team anyway. But
if Ben Simmons is signs with the Knicks, I don't know if I'll be able to watch basketball.
I don't know either, but it is what it is. But anyways,
go back to Brooklyn, Ben. Go back to Brooklyn.
Let him stay in Brooklyn or wherever the hell he is. But going back to at least Madison Square Garden, we'll talk a little bit still about the Rangers because basketball season hasn't officially started yet, so we'll get there.
Not.
But at least, like I said, the Rangers did start 2-3-1. Now, as a Rangers fan, it leaves a lot of people in a very tough spot when you see the team start 2-3-1. They've been shut out in 3 consecutive home games, and a lot of fans are wondering, is it time to push the panic button? I'm going to sit here as kind of a stable mind and let you know I would not push the panic button on this team yet. We're 6 games into the season. They're 2-3-1. It's not a horrible record. We've seen them start out a lot better than where we've been at this point. Obviously, they had a very good record last year, and we saw how the season ended up. So I wouldn't necessarily be freaking out right now. Obviously, you do have some concerns, which I will address at some point. But the fact that they've outplayed Edmonton, they outplayed Toronto, they outplayed Washington, but just could not put the puck in the net. I mean, they've gotten some grade A chances, a lot better than what we've seen. They're playing a much more physical game than what we've seen in prior years, which is a great sign. Defensively, they're way more sound than they have been. A lot less odd man rushes against them. It's been a much better style under Sullivan that I've liked as a head coach so far. So, I mean, obviously, the record may not show it, but at some point the pucks are going to start going into the net. They've generated a lot of good chances. Zibanejad's actually made a great step towards getting back to his prior form. Now, granted, he did fan in overtime on a shot which ended up leading to an odd man rush and ended up leading to them losing in overtime. But other than that, he's played very good in other games. But the one thing that really sets it is they've allowed 5 goals in 6 games with a goalie in the net, not including empty net goals. 5 goals in 6 games. Well, Shesterkin's played 5 out of the 6. Jonathan Quick played once. But out of those 6 games, they've allowed 5 goals when a goalie is in the net.
That's not good.
That's fantastic. That's less than 1 a game. That's very, very good. So they just need to start scoring. They start scoring. If the goaltending and defense looks any bit like it's looked, they're going to start winning some games. They had a tough stretch, obviously playing against some pretty solid teams with Washington and Edmonton.
Well, you said they beat Edmonton, so.
No, they outplayed them, but they ended up losing. They outshot them. Even Edmonton's goalies and some of their players credited the Rangers and said that even though the score said one thing, it didn't really feel like that. I felt like they outplayed us at most points during the game. They created some really good high danger chances. It's just the pucks weren't going their way. Maybe it's just they're a little bit snake bitten right now, but things are going to start rolling. They're a good team. They play very sound defense, and, they make some incredible plays. They saw it. And, when you get credit from a team that lost in the Stanley Cup Finals back-to-back years, and you hold them to a 1-0 game up until they pulled their goalie, and then they lose 2-0, I'm not going to be mad at that. Still early in the year, they obviously have no Vincent Trocheck, who just got put on the long-term injured reserve, so he's going to be missing a little bit of time.
I'm assuming Connor McDavid played in the Edmonton game.
McDavid had no points. None. That's why I'm even happier about it. They limited the big-time players to basically nothing. When they played against the Capitals, I think Ovechkin had an assist on the goal scored by Anthony Beauvillier, on like a nice deflection. But yeah, like they've started to hold some top players really low in points and limit their production, and that's a great thing. Like I said, the only thing that I'm really concerned about is 3 things. No Vincent Trocheck for a little bit of time, because obviously he's on long-term injured reserve, so I don't know how long he's going to be out for. Number 2 is I heard that they're planning on trading Brendan Ottman, who's one of their prospects that was up on the main roster last year for a little bit of time. They're currently saying that he's drawing interest from other organizations, should I put it. And it's sad because he's been a part of the organization for 4 years now, and a lot of people had very high hopes on him. So seeing that he was never really able to crack into the scene and really get his production level up and be the type of player that everyone thought he was going to be, it's a shame. And knowing the Rangers, he'll probably end up getting traded for like a lower-end prospect or maybe a low draft pick. And that sucks because you want to see the production now rather than later. So that kind of hurts.
Kind of like a Clint Frazier almost.
In a sense, yeah. In a sense, kind of. It was good enough, and a lot of people had really high hopes on him. He produces well at the AHL level, and just when he comes up to the main roster, I mean, he's pretty sound, but he just doesn't produce. Like, you're not seeing many guys. I think in 22 games he played last year, I believe he had 2 points, and they were both assists. He didn't score once, especially when he was getting some decent minutes. Now, granted, he wasn't getting top 6 forward minutes, but still getting some decent minutes at some point throughout the year. He had a few of those where they moved him up with, like, Trocheck and Panarin to play. So it's like, it's sad seeing that because I really did like him, and I had a lot of hype behind him as well, too. So it kind of stinks that that's the way that they're probably going to end up going. But that kind of transitions me into my third point of what I'm nervous about, and it's the fact that they have so many veterans. Now, granted, it's always great to have some veteran experience in any sport that you play. We see it in baseball having, like an example, like Max Scherzer pitched extremely well because he's got that playoff veteran experience. He knows exactly what type of energy he's got to bring. He played extremely well last night, or pitched well for Toronto. Same thing we see with football, with veteran leadership, like what Von Miller's doing, obviously, with Washington, or like what Bobby Wagner did with Washington at one point. It's always good to have that veteran presence.
Well, Bobby Wagner's still there.
Yeah, well, Bobby Wagner's I would top like 4 in tackles, but we'll stick to football at one point. But at least for the sake of kind of comparing it, it's good to have some veteran presence, but in a long season, which is 80, I believe either 82 or 84 games. I still don't know whether
84 games. They
I believe they did switch
it by 2.
So yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is I don't know if it was this year or next year. Regardless, it's an 80-plus game season. This is a game that's very physical, and it takes a toll on you. So I don't know how long the vets are really going to last playing at the level they're playing at. Now, granted, Connor Sheary and Taylor Radish both have looked good. They've played fairly decent for the Rangers so far. But the only thing is it sustainable? That I'm a little bit nervous about. Because, like I said, they're a little bit older in age. You have a lot of older guys on the team. JT Miller's over 30. Panarin's over 30. Zibanejad's over 30. Radish and Sheary are both over 30. Trocheck, I think, is either just above 30
or 29.
Well, and I don't know if he's 29. I'm assuming he's probably in his 30s as well, too. You have a lot of guys who are in their 30s. Obviously, Jonathan Quick is 40 years old almost. So it starts to become a concern is, will it be sustainable? And I hope to God that it is, but obviously if they're not going to start winning games and you can't put the pucks in the net and, some of these guys get a little bit worn down, you're going to have to rely on your young talent to come up and fill the roles and fill the gaps that you need to be filled. So unless they plan on making some major trades at some point during the deadline, if they are in, a playoff spot or fighting for a playoff spot, That's going to be something that we'll see a little bit down the road, but they may have to start relying on guys like Gabe Perreault, Noah Laba, who's actually on the main roster right now. He's played fairly well. Gabe, like I said, Laba, Perreault, Scott Morrow, who's another prospect they got in a trade last year for, I believe it was Keandre Miller. He was involved in that trade. You also have some other guys in their system as well, too, that I think could end up being pretty good. Like Adam Sikora, they've mentioned a ton, but he hasn't really, done anything. Brett Berard played on the main roster last year, and he was good. I don't know why he's not on the roster now. That's a big concern. Then you also have guys like Drew Fortescue, who's still yet to really, make his name known. I know a lot of people know who he is, but he hasn't obviously been on the Rangers main roster yet. He's been in college, so I'd love to see a lot of these guys get the call up at some point because, if you're not going to win games, at least start to develop these guys and give them a chance because you never know what could happen. The youth movement has taken over the NHL. The young guys dominate in this league.
I feel like that's how it is in most sports, to be honest.
Of course. It's a big transition because now these younger kids that especially are like 18, 19, 20, I'd say maybe to like 25, they're big, they're strong, they're fast, they're very skilled.
Yeah.
That's what you need is you need a combination of all of those things. And a lot of these guys that are coming into the league now, like look at Matthew Schaefer for the Islanders. The kid's been extremely good for the Islanders in his first couple games. He was a first-round draft pick this year at, I believe he's 18 or 19 years old. Kid's already a great player. You look at Macklin Celebrini for San Jose, another one. Top draft pick, great player, young kid, very talented. Led their team, I'm pretty sure, in points last year.
Well, you look at Cooper Flagg, too. Cooper Flagg's like only, 19, 20?
Yeah, but in every sport you're seeing that now. The only one that's kind of not like that is football a little bit because they have obviously a different age limit that you could join the league.
I think 21.
Well, yeah,
20 or 21.
You have to be 20 or 21. Basketball, you could be 18 because you don't have to go to college.
Well,
Hockey,
hold
you don't
on.
have to go to college.
Hold on. I'm going to rephrase that statement. You have to have played 3 years of college football.
Correct.
Because I believe I think it's Ryan Williams at Alabama. He's a year younger.
Yeah. He's currently, I believe, 18 going on 19. He's in his sophomore year.
Yes.
But, yeah, exactly your point, though. But anyway, with that, like I said, they got to start relying on some of these young guys. We just don't know if it's going to be able to last with some of the vets. Other than that, I've liked their play style a lot. I think that they're going to be a lot more competitive than a lot of people drew them up to be at the beginning of the year, especially after losing so many guys. Obviously, like Chris Kreider and Keandre Miller, Philip Hedl, Capo Caco. There's a whole list. I'm not going to go completely into it. There's a lot of new faces. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. I just kind of wanted to give a little summary on it. But I really hope that the Rangers can continue to play the way that they're playing and actually start putting the puck in the net at home. Because if they do, they may actually make a decent little run for the playoffs. And, never know. Maybe they go out and get some other guys. So we'll see what happens as that kind of plays out. But now that we're kind of getting off of hockey, we'll transition a little bit into college football because I know that we did have some big breaking news that happened the past couple of days. One coach being fired while another coach is extended. So the first one we'll touch on was the Indiana Hoosiers. Obviously, we saw them beat the Oregon Ducks this past week 30-20 in Oregon, which I think they're starting.
Not an easy task.
Well, it's not an easy task, but it's starting to prove that Indiana is the real deal. Ranked number 3 in the country now. They have definitely turned that football program around. I know, including myself, I kind of ate a little bit of crow on this, but I even said that I didn't think Indiana was that good last year, and they ended up losing in the playoff at one point, I believe. And, I kind of doubted them, and I was like, maybe it was just a fluke year for them. Easy schedule. They ended up playing against some weak teams, so that's why they were able to squeak in. And so far this year, they've been impressive. They've definitely been a little bit more impressive than what I've seen in prior years. Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback, has been very good. He's actually in Heisman talks right now, and it's very well deserved. Or deserving.
Probably because he's been one of the most consistent quarterbacks.
Absolutely. Like we talked about the last episode, the college quarterback play has been horrible. In regards to the top names like Nussmeier, Klubnik, Drew Aller.
Well, now he's
done, which we'll get to. Let's not spoil it, but exactly, it has not looked good. But at least Mendoza, Ty Simpson for Alabama's looked good. There's a couple names that we'll get into, but at least in the sake of Indiana, Mendoza's looked very good. Obviously, they used the transfer portal really well. They were able to recruit extremely well for their program this year. They look like the real deal right now. They have 2 big wins. Obviously, this is their second win against a top 25 ranked opponent this year. Obviously, Oregon was ranked in the top 10, so that was a big shocker. But not only that, this is where I kind of drifted into the extension. Head coach Kurt Signetti signed a 8-year, $93 million contract to be the head coach at Indiana, and he's done a fantastic job ever since taking over with the program. Obviously, they're 7-0 on the year, so very well deserved. I'm not really surprised that he ended up getting the money that he ended up getting, so it's not a shock. He very well deserved it. This Indiana team has been stellar the past 2 years, and I think that they could make some noise in the playoffs, maybe. I don't know. There's still more time to really see how it goes, but that was impressive. But now we'll kind of go into the negative side of the coaching world, as we saw Penn State fire James Franklin. And that's something that we talked about on the podcast last week. I even said to you after they were upset by, I believe it was UCLA, I said, if they lose a couple more games, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they ride the season out, but this is probably going to be the end for James Franklin. And they obviously did not wait for the end of the season.
Not only is it the end for James Franklin at Penn State, but I don't know, Drew Aller's a senior, right?
He is.
Yeah.
This is his last
the
year
end of Drew Aller.
Yeah, well, at least in college football at Penn State.
Terms.
Yeah, because he'll probably end up getting drafted by somebody. Even if it's a late round pick, I could see him potentially getting drafted. He's got a lot of tangible stuff that works well for him. He's a good player. It's just didn't really have the year that everyone kind of expected him to have. I know a lot of people were very high on him this year, saying that he was going to be one of the top college quarterbacks.
Well, because you saw how far Penn State made last year, and
they made a great run last year.
And you saw how he played.
Yeah, he played really well for Penn State last year, and like I said, everyone kind of thought that he was going to take it and elevate it to the next level a little bit. So, it makes sense, but it's a shame that his career kind of ended that way. Obviously, he's out with, I believe, either an ankle dislocation or a fracture. So he's done for the rest of the year. But obviously, not only is Aller done, but Penn State is probably done for the year as well, too, now. Third loss, obviously, this week was to Northwestern, 22-21. So they now have 3 losses on the year, which pretty much puts them out of playoff contention. They're obviously not in the rankings anymore, and they still have Ohio State left on their schedule as well,
and
too,
especially now that they're not starting Drew Aller at quarterback.
Yeah, I believe from what I saw is they are going to be starting redshirt freshman Ethan Grunkemeyer. That is their new quarterback that's going to be starting for them.
Grunkemeyer.
Yeah, and supposedly he got some very high praise from a lot of the coaching staff, as well as, some of his high school coaches as well, too. So, this kid could end up being very, very good. I don't know if he's going to end up being of Drew Aller status.
Yeah, but
if he is, fantastic for Penn State. At least you have yourself a little bit of a future. But at least for Penn State, James Franklin does not have a future, unless he ends up getting signed by somebody else and signs a contract to be a head coach elsewhere.
Well,
otherwise they're going to have to pay him $50 million.
Didn't Penn State have to? Yeah, I was about to say, didn't Penn State don't they owe him like $50 million?
They owe him $50 million unless he signs with another team, and then it's significantly less. But if they don't sign him, they're going to end up owing him $50 million, which is absolutely crazy. But at least with those,
$50 million to do absolutely nothing.
Hey, I wouldn't mind $50 million to do nothing. Sign me up. Then we also have some big matchups, which we'll kind of just talk about real quick as well, too. A lot of good games this weekend coming up, especially on the SEC front. So you see number 11 Tennessee heading to Alabama to take on the number 6 Crimson Tide. This game should be an absolute barn burner. I know Tennessee has beat them 2 out of the last 3 years. So I think Alabama kind of found its groove a little bit more. I don't know if Jam Miller will be playing because he got hit really hard in the Missouri game. I believe he was out with a concussion. So I don't know if he's playing this week, but I would not be surprised if Bama can find a way to win again.
You skipped over Louisville and Miami.
Well, we'll get there as well, too. But that's probably the biggest game of the week. Tonight's game, at least, is the Louisville and Miami game. I think Miami will probably end up squeaking it out. But if this game was in Louisville, I probably would have leaned taking Louisville for the upset. But in Miami's ranked as the number 2 school. They have a very, very weak schedule. I looked at that too. They should pretty much have a cakewalk to the ACC championship, almost positively. So I would not be surprised if Miami ends up winning.
I almost wore my Gators sweatshirt today.
Not Florida. What,
no, not Florida. No, my Hurricane.
I was about to say that's not the Florida Gators.
Nah, wrong team. My bad.
That's okay.
Brain fart.
That's okay. It happens. Then obviously,
Also, I want to speak. Carson Beck has looked better than everyone thought he has.
he has. I think he's got a lot of good weapons around him too. The Miami system, I think, fits him a little bit better than it did at Georgia, which is very surprising.
Do you think he's in Heisman talks right now?
He probably is. He's probably fairly close. The only reason why I'd maybe say no is because there are teams that I feel have performed a little bit better. Maybe not record-wise, but just performance-wise. I think some of them have played better, but I would definitely say that he's probably in the conversation. I think the top three right now most likely would be Beck, Mendoza, and Ty Simpson. Those are probably it. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's a couple other names on that list.
And Miami's still undefeated, right?
Yes, they are still undefeated for now. For now. Well, they also said Julian Sayin would be in Heisman consideration, the quarterback for Ohio State. So that's another possibility as well, too.
They also said Arch Manning was going to be in Heisman consideration,
Yeah.
and that's not a possibility.
Nope. Yeah, so much for Arch Manning Heisman. Yeah, try again, buddy. Then we will see the number 10 LSU Tigers travel to Nashville. They will be taking on the number 17 Vanderbilt Commodores, who look to bounce back after a loss to Alabama a couple weeks ago. LSU's defense is very good. Obviously, we've seen Vanderbilt is a lot stronger than what they've been in prior years. I personally think that Vanderbilt will find a way to win this game, especially since it's at home, especially since Garrett Nussmeier has kind of struggled with the turnovers this year. He's only got 9 touchdowns, but he's got 5 interceptions through his 6 games so far. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that game plays out. I wouldn't be surprised if LSU can win it just because LSU is the higher-ranked school, and I think that they do have more premier talent. It's just that I don't know if they'll be able to beat Vanderbilt. In Vanderbilt, that place is going to be surprisingly rocking. So should be a very good game as well. Another SEC matchup will be number 5 Ole Miss as they go and take on the number 9 Georgia Bulldogs in Georgia. That should be another very good game. I think that even though Ole Miss is ranked higher, they're actually underdogs in this game. I would take them for the upset. That's just my opinion. I think Georgia and Gunnar Stockton have looked a little bit slower. The past couple weeks, they've been much better, but I just think that Ole Miss, with their firepower offense, what we've seen from them this year, is going to be enough to give Georgia some problems. Georgia squeaked by Auburn last week, so I think this could be an Ole Miss win, but
I just want to say one thing.
Sure.
I think that I don't know if this has to do with Lane Kiffin or who coached him prior, but a lot of people were saying that there were going to be struggles for Jackson Dart in the NFL, and that the Ole Miss offense wasn't really that great, and he only performed in there because he had great players around him. But when you're looking at it this year, right? Ole Miss is ranked
number 5. Yeah,
they're ranked 5. So, and you're looking at Dart, and he's not really struggling. He's not.
No, he's been playing well.
He's been playing well, and not only does that reflect greatly on him, but it'll also reflect greatly on Ole Miss. It'll make more players want to go there.
Absolutely. I think that Ole Miss has definitely had one of their better years under Lane Kiffin to start so far, and they definitely have the talent. I mean, we've seen a lot of top players come out of Ole Miss. I mean, A.J. Brown was an Ole Miss guy.
So was DK.
So was DK Metcalf. I mean,
both of them could be Steelers still.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is, like, there's a lot of guys that come out of Ole Miss. They provide some very, very good talent. It's not a shocker to me. So even under Lane Kiffin and prior coaching as well, Kiffin, I think, has done a very good job with Ole Miss. There was obviously the judgment of, how will they do in the biggest moments in the playoff and stuff like that? And obviously they haven't really been tested like that yet. I think at some point that will come around, especially this year. There's a possibility that if they keep going the way they're going, who knows, they may even crack the top 3 at some point if other teams do lose. So it'll be interesting to see. I do think, like I said, I think Ole Miss wins this week and continues the way that they're going. But again, wouldn't be surprised if there's an upset on the horizon. Maybe Georgia does win at home as well, too. Last game that we'll kind of talk about before we go into the NFL stuff is the number 20 USC Trojans, now that they're back into the top 25 again, taking on the number 13 Notre Dame, which is going to be a very, very good game. But this is going to be a make or break for Notre Dame, as right now they have 2 losses. They lost to Miami and they lost to Texas A&M, the number 2 and number 4 school in the country, which is obviously still why they're ranked in at number 13 right now. But like we said before, it's very rare you see a 3-loss team make the playoff.
Well,
they already have 2.
They already expanded the playoffs because a few years ago, was it Florida? Was it FSU?
It was FSU and Alabama made it over.
Alabama made it over FSU.
Yeah, or no, was it FSU made it over Alabama?
No.
Oh no.
It was. I think it was Bama made it over FSU and they were upset because I don't think FSU had lost.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't remember the exact way that it went, but I know what the situation
I
was.
believe, if I'm not wrong, FSU might have been undefeated and Bama might have had 1 or 2 losses, and Bama still made it over FSU because of the division.
Oh,
that they
yeah,
played
and that's right. And then they played Georgia in the bowl game, and they got spanked. I think they lost like 63-7 or some crazy thing like that. Well, no, that was maybe TCU. I know that they got beat really bad, though.
No, I think it was Washington versus Georgia.
No, I'm talking about like out of not the CFP playoff, but the bowl games that they have outside. I'm pretty sure Florida State got smoked by Georgia because that was the year I believe Georgia did not make the playoff. So, that like I've talked about before, it's very rare that a 3-loss team makes the playoff. So, if Notre Dame loses this game, their playoff hopes may be gone. I personally think that Notre Dame gets the win because the pressure's kind of on them. Backs against the wall. They need, like I said, they need to win this game in order to keep their playoff hope really alive. And I think that they're a very good team. USC is supposedly also down their top 2 running backs this week. So it should be an interesting game. I think Notre Dame finds a way to pull out the win. But regardless, we're going to see a very good slate of college football this weekend on Saturday. Obviously, the game tonight as well, too. But then we also have some stuff that we'll touch about, which is the sport that plays on Sundays, which is the National Football League. We'll go over to some football stuff now. We won't really touch on a lot of the results from last week because we did see, obviously, it's been a little bit of time. We already saw all of the Sunday and Monday games from week 6, so we kind of know exactly where everybody's records currently sit right now. But what we will do is we're going to do something a little bit untraditional, which we have not really done yet. We've discussed it, but we haven't really done a ranking system yet. We're going to go over and make some predictions or give our rankings for what we believe are the award winners for the end of the season award if they were done today. So obviously that's touching on most valuable player, the MVP award, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, coach of the year, and comeback player of the year. Obviously, there's several different awards. We're going to kind of go off of about maybe 5 names or so that we think should win the award. There are a couple names that I left off the list. You can obviously debate these a little bit with me because I made the list in my opinion, so you don't necessarily need to go off and agree with everything that I say. Obviously, that's what the point of the debate is and what the point of the podcast is. We're not literally just going to sit here and agree on everything.
Yeah.
So you are more than welcome to give me a little heat here. But obviously if you agree, that's fine as well too. So we're going to start with the MVP award. I think it's fair to say so far this year, there has been a clear-cut MVP favorite right now. Now the DraftKings and FanDuels of the world may argue this. I think that they're full of crap, to be fair. I think that it's very biased, but in my opinion, and I think you could probably agree with this, I think Baker Mayfield should be the MVP favorite as of right now.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield not only has been playing well this year, but in terms of his career, when you look at it, right, he was really getting the comparison to Johnny Manziel a lot when he was at end of his tenure with the Browns.
Yep, and his stint with the Panthers as well too. Yeah.
His stint with the Panthers, if you look at the start of his career, it wasn't really the best. He got drafted to the Browns, and no offense to the Browns or Browns fans, which
I don't know how many of there are.
How many of them that there are that are actively watching this.
I pray to you,
but
strong people.
You guys must be the most loyal people on earth.
Hell
because
yeah, man.
I probably would have jumped ship on that franchise a while ago.
Well, it could be worse. It could be the Jets, but still. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, well, Jets fans usually they have the Mets to look forward to.
Oh yeah, they have the Mets to really look forward to. Come on.
Well, no, but they could.
You
but you know what I'm saying.
I know. They have the Islanders and the Nets to look forward to as well. That fan base.
But what I'm saying is like. They get their enjoyment from the Mets, whether they make the playoffs or not.
Enjoyment? Oh, my God. Well.
But what I'm trying to say is that it's not as bad as Cleveland fans who have the Guardians.
Hey, the Guardians are good, and they also have the Cavaliers who, they at least won the NBA championship as well. And hockey. I don't
You
even
look
think
at
they
the Browns franchise, and he was drafted into a franchise that, yes, they brought in OBJ, they brought in Jarvis Landry, they had the receiving talent, but I mean, Nick Chubb was the running back. That was when Nick Chubb was amazing, but the O-line was still iffy. Defense wasn't really the best, and he was struggling, and then
They did make the playoffs.
they made the playoffs one year, and then they missed it the next year, and then there were rumors circulating saying, "Oh, the Browns are favorites to land Deshaun Watson," which that didn't work out.
Let's not go
That
there.
did not work out.
Let's not go there. Save us some time. Let's not go there. Good Lord.
I'm happy the Giants didn't get him. The rumors the Giants were going to go get him for Saquon and 2 firsts.
Nope,
And
thank God.
I would have.
We'd be sitting in much different spots right now if that was
We
probably
definitely
to happen.
would, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, that was not
No,
right.
what I'm saying is that the Browns promised him that he was going to be the starting quarterback the next season. And then
He just...
he just wasn't the quarterback. They did wind up getting Deshaun Watson. And then I don't know if they traded him or if they put him on waivers.
I think they ended up putting him on waivers, and then Carolina claimed him.
No. They traded for him. They traded for him.
Oh, maybe it was for draft picks.
They traded him for like a third. It might have been like a 4th or a 5th round draft pick from Carolina. Then he went to Carolina. He was the backup to Sam Darnold for a season and a half. Then he was waived by Carolina, and then Stafford was down.
And the Rams picked
And then
him
the
up.
Rams picked him up.
and
within
revitalized
within
his
3
career.
days, he flew out to LA. Granted, this was against the Raiders, but what he still did was very impressive.
Extremely impressive.
Learned a brand new playbook and offense in 3 days. Didn't even know everybody on the team.
Yep.
Went out there, played a hell of a game. Not only played a hell of a game, he led a 90-plus yard game-winning drive in the 4th quarter with under a minute to go.
Yep. And they ended up winning that game.
And they
that was
ended
the
up
start of
winning
it
the
all.
game. Well, that's why I said game-winning
Yep.
drive. And then that had people looking like, okay, maybe Baker Mayfield isn't that bad. Maybe it was the Browns and the Panthers.
Which, I mean, now
And
you
then-
look at it and it's like,
And then
wow.
you have the Bucks, who I don't know if they originally gave him a 1-year deal or
they gave him a 1-year deal, and it was a prove-it deal
it was a 1-year deal. Was that last season or was it? No, it was 2 seasons
2
ago.
seasons ago.
2 seasons ago, they gave him a 1-year prove it deal. He came out, he played
Very well.
very, very well. And then they gave him another contract. And then last year he played even better. And this year he's playing like the first overall pick that he was supposed to be.
Yeah, now, not to cut you off here, but a little bit just to kind of give you an idea of how good he's been. Now, if you think
Well,
about it.
Hold on a second. I want to say one thing. I'm not sticking up for this guy, but I have 2 people that maybe are in the same boat. Maybe they need a change of scenery. Maybe you could argue a third. One of them is Kyler Murray. Maybe the Cardinal system isn't really working for him.
Maybe. I don't know.
Number 2 is Tua.
Nah, I just think he's too beat up now. It's sad, very sad.
I mean, I'm not saying I disagree, but you never know.
that CTE
like-
tweaking.
You got Daniel Jones play for the Giants for what, like 6 seasons?
He ain't got CTE like that. That's trust me. Listen, I like Tua a lot, too,
And then
but I don't know.
third person I could maybe argue is Bryce Young.
Yeah, I could potentially see that too. I mean, I think that there's a couple more names. I think obviously if Cam Ward didn't go to the Titans, he'd be a lot better.
Well,
as
yeah.
too. Obviously, the same thing happened with Geno.
But Cam Ward is a rookie. That's why I'm not putting him. I'm not putting him there.
I know.
Bryce Young isn't a rookie, but he's had his ups and he's had his struggles. But then again, it's the Panthers organization. Like,
Well, look at Sam Darnold as well too. He was the same situation. He was on the Jets. He was on the Panthers. ended up going to Minnesota, having a really good year in
Actually,
Minnesota.
before he went to Minnesota, he went to San Francisco. He
He sat behind. Well, yeah, we talked about that. He went to San Francisco, sat on the bench, went to Minnesota, had a great year.
I think
he's having a
not
great
only
year.
not only do I think him going to San Francisco was good, I think the fact that he went to Minnesota after San Francisco was good.
Yeah, that was very beneficial for him as well.
But back to
the whole Baker thing. He's currently 4th in passing yards, tied for 2nd in touchdowns, 6th in passer rating, 9th in QBR. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is he already has 4 comeback drives during his, I believe, 6 wins so far this year. They've come back in 4 of them, or had like game-winning drives in 4 of them. And then on top of that, he has not had a single game where every single one of his starting receivers has played. He's either had Evans out, Godwin out. Obviously, Egbuka is going to be out a little bit for some time now. He hasn't had all of them in at
Mike
one
Evans
time.
playing this week?
I think he is. He should be back this week. But I think that would be, I don't know if Godwin's back again either. I think he may be doubtful again as well too. But that's my point is, he has not had a full receiver room yet. He's throwing to Sterling Shepard and Tez Johnson.
Well, Tez Johnson isn't bad.
I'm not trying to crap on them and say that they're bad, but my point is, if you look at top receiving cores, does that look like a top receiving core to you with Sterling Shepard and Tez Johnson right now? No. But he's coming out regardless of his weapons.
Shepard.
I'm not bashing him. But what I'm saying is these guys are not premier names. They're not Jefferson. They're not Jamar. They're not T. Higgins. They're not Puka. They're not Devontae. There's a lot of other
another
names.
guy that got screwed over by MetLife's turf, which needs to be replaced.
I know. But my point exactly is Baker has not played with a full roster yet.
I know.
He had Tristan Wirfs out for time. He's had Bucky Irving out. Imagine what this team looks like
when it's fully healthy.
They are going to be a genuine problem.
And a lot of people are going to say, well, Chris Godwin, when he was healthy, wasn't a big impact. People forget that up until he got hurt last season, he was the wide receiver 1 in fantasy.
Yeah, he was one of them up until he got hurt, yeah.
He was he wasn't one of them. He was number 1.
Which is crazy. But that's my thing. Is like I said, give him a full lineup, and this may be a different conversation. Now, number 2, we'll kind of move off Baker because we have a lot of topics we got to touch on at least, and then I do want to make our predictions. Trying not to at least have this go for another 2 hours because I don't want people sleeping.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So number 2 for me, either agree or disagree. I'm gonna say Josh Allen. Still, somehow, some way. A lot of people will probably disagree with that. I can understand. That one's a little bit closer, so I don't know.
Right now at number 2, Josh Allen, I'm not saying it is not possible he can win it, but you look at how he won it last year, and I get his stats weren't the best last year, but he was doing more.
Yeah, he was doing better than, so far what he's done. Obviously, after the Atlanta game, it didn't look good either because he did not really play as well. To be honest with you, I probably could have adjusted that a little bit more. I wouldn't necessarily say Allen 2. I could probably put Allen at maybe 3 or 4 right now, maybe.
As for number 2 right now, I don't know if I'm not putting this. I don't know. I might bump up because I have a person on here that you haven't mentioned in the notes. He's not as high, but I'd probably bump up like Stafford didn't really play well last week either.
Well, yeah, Stafford didn't have a good week. I still put him on there for now, but he's very, very low on the list.
Maybe you could put. Well, Dak did have an interception. I don't want to put Dak at 2 because I just don't like.
To be honest, I'd probably put Mahomes at 2 right now.
Yeah,
even though they're 3-3.
You look at how Mahomes has played the last 3 weeks. You put him at 2. Put Allen at 3.
He's another one that still has yet to have a full receiver room the entire season, and he's. I think I kind of put this in the notes as well, too. I'm curious. Oh, yeah, here it is, right here. 6th in passing yards, tied for 4th in touchdowns, 4th in QBR, hasn't had a full receiver room. Not only that, the Chiefs have scored 18 touchdowns this year.
He's accounted for 15 of them.
He's accounted for 15 of them. He is a majority of their offense. So if it's not for him, they're probably not 3-3. They're probably 0-6, to be completely fair, if he's not on that team.
Now,
so
I'd have Mahomes at 2.
Then I'd put Josh Allen at maybe 3.
At 3. I'm putting Drake May at 4.
Okay. Now, to be honest, I had him just off my list only because their schedule's been a little so far. No disrespect to him, though, because the Patriots do sit at first place in the AFC East right now. So
I mean, they just beat the Bills.
They did just beat the Bills. They beat the Saints. I mean, they that was their biggest win was the Bills. Everyone else they kind of played was a little strange to me. They do have one of the easiest schedules in football.
I'm not taking away by saying that their schedule is easy, but when you're looking at it, usually there's a sophomore slump when it comes to quarterbacks.
And he's done the complete
and
opposite.
Drake May is not, because you look at Jaden Daniels, he hasn't really been playing the best.
Well, he's been banged up.
He's been banged up this season too, but when he has been playing, he's not been the same Jaden Daniels that won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, no, you're right, 100% right.
And then you have who else? You have Bo Nix, who's also playing at a.
I wouldn't put Bo Nix there either. Their defense is the sole reason why they're
winning. No, but I'm saying you have Bo Nix, who played well pretty decent.
Against the Jets.
I'm talking about last season.
Oh well, yeah, last season,
and then this season he's also. That's what I'm saying. There's a sophomore slump.
Oh, I thought you were saying that Bo Nix is the MVP conversation.
No. Because I said Jaden Daniels was in the sophomore slump a little bit. You have Bo Nix in a sophomore slump.
Yeah, just like that meme.
Yeah.
What? Bo Nix in the MVP conversation. What are we on? Did you smoke before you
Michael Penix is struggling a little bit.
A little bit. Actually, to be honest with you, I do kind of want to change my list a tiny bit now that I kind of look at it. I'd probably still put Dak at. I'd put Dak at 5. I may actually put Sam Darnold on my list.
Sam Darnold
He's been extremely efficient this year. Jackson Smith and Jigba's been great for them. I mean, the run game really hasn't been as good as we thought that they would be. I mean, Kenneth Walker still got a little ways to go. Zach Charbonnet has helped out. Seattle's defense has been okay. They've been a little streaky.
I could even see Dak at like 7 or 6.
Maybe
you could put Darnold or Jones at 5. I don't know.
The only reason why I wouldn't say Jones right now for MVP is because if there's any MVP on their team right now, it's Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. I understand that, but like when you look at how Jones is playing, he's not playing terrible.
No, he's playing well.
I believe he only has 1 interception on the season too, which is impressive.
But my big thing is he the most valuable player on that team? No. That's the only reason why I wouldn't give him the MVP is because if you're going to be the MVP, you got to be the most valuable player on your own team as well, and he's not. So, yes, I see your argument. Daniel Jones, who knows? Maybe if obviously we still have, 11 weeks of the season left. Who knows? He keeps playing the way that he's playing, and his stats keep going up and up and up, and he leads in a couple categories. Who knows? Maybe. It's possible.
If I see a Daniel Jones MVP, season, I don't know what
I know exactly what I'll do. If he wins the MVP, I will come on this podcast, look at that camera, and shout out to my boy Liam for this because he said this to me last night. I will look in the camera and say, I do not know ball. I do not know ball at all. I don't. If he wins the MVP, I obviously don't know football at all because and nobody else does either because there's no way that anyone would have saw that coming.
Nope.
But at least for me, I think the rankings right now for the MVP kind of look at Baker 1, Mahomes 2, Allen 3. I'd say, like I said, Darnold or May maybe 4 and 5, and then Dak 6, and Stafford at 7 for now.
Yeah,
that's probably where I'd sit. Obviously I was very high on Stafford. I still think he's a top 5 quarterback in football. It's just is he an MVP right now? Not after the way he played last week. But obviously, he still wins football games. He comes up big when you need him to, so it's not a disrespect to him, but that's at least what we have for the MVP. Now, Offensive Rookie of the Year. This one, obviously, I think we have a front runner, which may change, obviously, because we kind of said
his missed time.
He will be missing some time, and that is Emeka Egbuka.
Now, what I will say is that I'm not saying I agree with this, but you look at all of the DraftKings, FanDuel, they have Jackson Dart as the favorite right now.
Trust me, there's a reason why I said it the way I'll say it. I don't have him on my list, and the only reason why is because the Saints game, he really did not look good. And even in the game against Philly and the Chargers, it's not like he was putting up 300 yards passing. I mean, he did look very good. No disrespect to him. He looked good. But that is not – when you have some of these other guys playing the way that they're playing, I would not give him the Offensive Rookie over the Year over a guy
I'm not saying I'm giving him Rookie of the Year.
I know.
I'm just saying. Well, granted, you look at the Saints game. He played the first half. He played
well, and then
in the second half. It wasn't just him. It was the entire team. They just fell apart.
That's true, but he also did have 3 turnovers.
Yes, I'm not going to deny the fact he had 3.
So,
but what I'm going to say is that if he just played his 3rd start in the NFL, and he led the team to beating the Eagles, who were the Super Bowl champions, and they're playing the Broncos this week, which I think this is also another very big test for him.
Which I will get into, but to be honest with you, I think the Broncos are going to win because did you see what they're doing before the game?
No.
They're adding Demaryius Thomas to their Ring of Honor, and they're doing a huge ceremony before the game. And whenever something like that happens, that team comes out pumped up, ready to go. And the Broncos defense is nasty. Nasty. Look at what they did to the Jets. Obviously, it's the Jets, so I'm not going to say anything. Look at what they did to the Jets offense last week. Justin Fields might as well have been wearing a mattress and pillows for pads because he was getting put on his back the entire day.
They didn't put up that many points, though.
Yeah, I know, still, but the Jets' offense had 82 total yards.
Yeah, the Giants' offense is way better than Jets.
I know. I'm just not comparing it. What I'm saying is Denver's defense is very, very good. They're very good. So
yeah, but if the same Giants team that came out against the Phillies comes out against
we'll debate that at the end. We have time where we'll make the predictions. If you think the Giants will win that's fine. I don't care. But anyway, we'll go back to the offensive rookie of the year. So do you still have Egbuka as your number 1? I think he may fall off a little bit. I still have him as my 1
for now. If the season ended today, yes.
Yeah.
But obviously he's missing a few weeks when he comes back. Mike Evans is going to be there. Hopefully, Godwin will be. Maybe Tez Johnson gets involved more because
but I don't know if that'll be enough for him to win it either.
I'm not saying Tez Johnson will win it.
No.
But what I'm saying is that if Godwin's not back, Tez Johnson didn't really play that bad when Egbuka was out. So you have Tez Johnson coming in, getting more reps, more targets, more catches. You have Chris Godwin when he comes back. Obviously, he's going to be. He's not immediately going to go back to that number 2 guy, but eventually he'll get there.
Of course.
So he could fall off. He's still going to have a really great rookie season.
Oh, no question about that.
But Egbuka is not going to be getting the 20 targets a game that he was getting when everyone was out.
Then I also have Tyler Warren as my number 2.
Tyler Warren could be my number 1 right now.
That's one of the names I was like, that's probably
only reason why I'm saying this, I said it last week, is that when Daniel Jones is in trouble before he chucks the ball down the field, what does he look for? He looks for his running back and he looks for his tight end.
Yep.
I know that way too well.
Well, obviously,
as a Giants fan.
Yeah, he's kind of like Geno Smith.
He relies on his tight ends.
Geno Smith does the same thing a lot too. That's why he did very well, or Noah Fant did well in Seattle, and even why I thought that Brock Bowers would do well with him.
Brock Bowers is hurt.
Well, but even Michael Mayer has done pretty well with Geno Smith so far this year as well too, while Brock Bowers is out. But yeah, Tyler Warren's been a big one. I think that he could probably be the number 1 at some point. I just have him at 2 as of right now because if it ended today, obviously I would take Egbuka over Warren, but it's very close. Number 3 will be a little surprising. I have Cam Scatabo at my number 3.
Coming into the season, I knew this kid was going to ball out, but I didn't know how much they were going to use him because of Tracy. But now that Tracy came back and Scatabo's still proven that he's the RB1, he keeps playing the way he does.
That could easily be
favored for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
No question, especially if he has a couple more really big games. Like if he puts up a couple 100 yards and more touchdowns, 3 in a game.
I don't understand how 32 teams could look at this guy, right?
And pass on him.
For 4
or 3 times.
3 times.
3 times they passed on him because he went in the 4th round.
Yes.
Crazy.
Another thing, right? I've been seeing a lot of redrafts of the first round. I've been seeing, which is kind of shocking. I've been seeing Dart going over Cam Ward. I've been seeing Scatabo in the first round. But when you look at it, right? So you look at it. Tom Brady was what, 5th round pick?
I believe he was the 6th round pick.
5th or 6th round pick. You can find players anywhere.
No, you can. It's just Scadabo's been very, very impressive. I mean, he's already got 5 touchdowns on the year, 338 yards on 82 carries, 155 yards receiving on 20 receptions. He's definitely been a rising star for them for sure. I think that he's going to end up being very, very good if his production level continues to go the way that it's going. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he ends up winning the entire thing, to be completely honest with you. But it's going to be tough. I'm just, like you said, I'm kind of surprised they passed on him as many times as they did. Number 4, I have Tataroa McMillan. I know he just did finally catch his first 2 touchdowns against Dallas this weekend.
Yeah.
I feel like he's fallen somewhat short of the hype a little bit, but I think that does have a lot to do with the fact that he does have a little bit lower end of quarterback play in Bryce Young. Now, Bryce Young, there's no disrespect on it, but he's not like a premier quarterback in the league. He's not going to have like a Dak or Stafford or, a Lamar or Mahomes or somebody like that thrown to him. So it will hinder his production a little bit. I think he's still very good, and I think his numbers are going to improve as the year goes on because now he's getting a little bit more confidence and accustomed to the offense. So I think he's probably the number 4 in my eyes. I'm assuming you'd probably agree with that as well, too. The one that was tough with me was number 5 because there's a lot of names that I really could have put at the number 5 spot. So basically to give you some of the names that I really thought about for 5, obviously, like we mentioned, Jackson Dart was on there. Omarion Hampton was on there up until he got hurt. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, otherwise known as Bill. That's another one that I thought would probably be up there. The ones that kind of just made the list for me, obviously, or just missed the list, was Ashton Genty. I don't really think he's performed all too great this year as well either.
Well, as of late, he's started to be
better.
But
it's just like with the amount of hype that he had coming out, people thought that he was going to be like a Jahmyr Gibbs or like of that caliber.
Yeah.
And he really hasn't been. Obviously, Travis Hunter is another one. It's like a lot of these guys, obviously Hunter was only on the list because of how hyped he was. I feel like a lot of the most hyped guys really have not cut it this year so far. But I had Quinshon Judkins at my 5. It's a little risky. I know that he's only played in, I believe, 5 games instead of 6.
Yeah.
He's been good. I mean, he's, 383 yards and 84 carries. He's got 2 total touchdowns. He started late, but he's been the easy RB1 in Cleveland. I think he solidified that role for himself now.
I also, he's also been he's also been the better running back that came out of Ohio State. Because you look at Travion Henderson, and he hasn't done anything.
Which I'm so surprised because obviously we know how I felt about that whole situation. We talked about that. I think it's just they may not be using him as much as they want to. Obviously, when Gibson went down, I thought for sure you were going to see an uptick in the amount of targets and carries that he'd get, and he still really isn't getting many. I don't know if maybe it's just a situational thing. I don't know if maybe he's going to have to really earn it or hope that Ramondre goes down to really prove it, which obviously I wouldn't root on an injury, but it's like I was very surprised by Henderson. But I would just
when you look at Judkins, he's been clearly the RB1. I know he didn't really do much against Pittsburgh, yeah. But
Pittsburgh's got a good defensive front.
Pittsburgh does have a good defensive front, and when you look at Cleveland, right? I don't know how much longer they could leave Dillon Gabriel at quarterback.
I think that's something that we will talk about a little bit next week. I mean, I think we may have skipped over it this week. I could bring it up very shortly. I personally believe that Shedeur Sanders gets the nod in Week 9 against the Jets, especially if things don't work out, because I believe they have to play the Dolphins this weekend.
You saw what happened after Ramsey sacked Dillon Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
He looked over at the Browns sideline, pointed at Shedeur Sanders, and started screaming, "Put him in the game."
Yeah. Listen, Jalen Ramsey's a character, but he's not wrong. I genuinely do believe Shedeur gets a start at some point this year before the end of the season. So I think it's coming, but obviously I think our offensive rookie of the year list so far between Egbuka and Warren, Scatabo, McMillan, and Judkins is pretty good. Obviously, Dart can easily move up as well. And I think that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, can also move up as well, too. Maybe Genty, but as of right now, that's where we have it. Defensive Rookie of the Year we'll go over fairly quick as well, too, because this one's a little bit tougher. There were only like 3 big names. Even me for 4 and 5 was a little bit tough. I'm sorry to Abdul Carter. I have you at 2. I actually have Jihad Campbell as number 1 right now, only because Abdul Carter's only got half a sack. He's got it supposedly on the Pro Football Reference stats page. I looked up all their splits. It says that he's only got 10 quarterback pressures.
That's
I
not.
doubt
he has
that that's
25.
true. Supposedly he's got 25. I know that he leads the league, leads rookies in pressures and pressures under 2.5 seconds, which is insane.
He leads. I think he does lead the entire league. He could.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if either Nick Bettino, Jared Verse, or Byron Young are up there in pressures, because Jared Verse, I think, has like 28, and Byron Young, I believe, has also like the same amount, but he's up there. Brian Burns is also up there as well, too, which Brian Burns was originally, that's the Rookie of the Year. Brian Burns is going to be on my list at some point as well, too. Like we said, we'll kind of go through it.
I do think that a lot of what he's doing is getting overlooked only because you look at the Giants' defensive line. They do have Brian Burns. They do have Dexter Lawrence. And you do have a breakout season coming from Kayvon Thibodeau, right? You obviously look at how he was at Oregon, and then you look at how he played in the NFL, and you look at the stats, and they just haven't really been there.
No, they haven't.
And then this year, you have him going out there, and you just have him. You have him going out there, and you have him eating. You have him just doing what he has to do.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So there hasn't really been the opportunity for Carter to get his
That's true.
Sacks.
It's just for me, he hasn't filled the stat sheet enough. I know it will come at some point too, but
another thing I'm going to say, right, is as a Giants fan, I watch him play every Sunday, and you do see him get to the quarterback almost every play, but by the time he gets there, or not even balls out, the quarterback's out of the pocket, he's chasing, then they just throw the ball away. They don't even go to look. They don't even hold on. They just throw the ball away.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I have Jihad Campbell from Philly at 1. He's got 40 combined tackles, 22 solo, 18 assisted, 1 tackle for loss, a QB hit, a forced fumble, an interception, 2 pass deflections. I mean, the guy has definitely filled the stat sheet up, and I figured he'd probably slot in very nice next to Zach Bond in Philadelphia. Obviously, Philly's got a very, very good system that they run over there, especially defensively, even though they may not have looked that great over the past couple weeks. But Jihad Campbell right now, for me, I've always been a fan. I wish that the Rams would draft him. Obviously, as an Alabama guy myself, I watched him play a lot in college. He's a monster. I was hoping the Rams drafted him, and I was so mad that he fell to 32 and that the Eagles got him. But again, he's very, very good. I currently have him as the favorite, even though the betting websites do not. They still have Abdul Carter up there. I do have Abdul Carter at my number 2, like I mentioned. Obviously, the stats were a little bit difficult to figure out on that because so many different websites said so many different things. So one of them said 10, one of them said 25, one of them said like 14. You didn't really know which one to go with. So obviously, I would have Abdul Carter up there as well, too. I think he will find the stat sheet as well. Number 3, I have Carson Schwessinger from the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, he's got a lot of tackles. He's already at 52, 21 solo, 31 assisted, and then 3 tackles. Yeah, 3 TFL and 3 QB hits. I think that he's been very, very good, not just based off the eye test, but even looking at the PFF rating. PFF actually has him as the highest graded defensive rookie in the league, I think, or one of the highest in the league. So he's definitely impressed being that second-round draft pick. So I think that he's definitely up in the conversation. Now, you also have guys like...
What about the linebacker for Atlanta?
Oh, who, James Pierce Jr.?
Or no, Jalen Walker. Or the dude from
Javon Walker?
Yeah, the dude from Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really said his name much. Even when you look on the betting lists, he's not really up there either.
I forgot that I also have James Pierce Jr. too.
They do. There's a lot of them. And, like, the other two that I have, which, I mean, like I said, these were difficult for me just because they really have not done much. And that is Andrew Makuba from Philly. He's been pretty good. Now, they have him also up there as he's only allowed 188 yards total throughout the season so far. And his completion percentage when he's targeted is 68.8, which, I mean, it's not great, but that's not awful either. So, I mean, he's technically up there, and then the other one who I think is going to really make a name for himself and really start... Imawari.
Yeah.
He's been extremely good as well, too. He hasn't allowed a touchdown against him. Obviously, he hasn't had any interceptions or pass deflections, but I feel like he's not really targeted very much at all either. And he's only played in 3 games, and he's allowed 45 yards through those 3 games. So he's been extremely good too. I would have him up there. I think that over time he will kind of elevate himself up on the list even more if he keeps going the way he's going. But obviously, like I said, the Defensive Rookie of the Year is usually between like one of 3 names. It's very rare you see like top 5 for it. I was even considering keeping it lower. Travis Hunter's not even really on the list either.
No, he hasn't really played that well.
He is not, so that's why I just kind of focused on those guys.
Switching to Offensive Player of the Year. Number 1, you look at there's a few names you could put at 1.
There's a few. There's about 3.
You could have Jonathan Taylor,
who I have as my number 1.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then you could also put Puka Nacua up there.
Yeah. Well, even for me, listen, this is going to be the tough part for me. With Nacua being hurt, which I just got a notification that he has officially been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Jaguars. So he's going to miss some time. He's probably going to miss this week. I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, they have their bye week the following. Hopefully, he's fine by the week after when they come back and play the Saints. I wouldn't be surprised if they rest him that game either. With him set to miss a little bit of time, I think that's definitely going to put a dent into his Offensive Player of the Year candidacy. So, obviously, I don't have him up on the list. Now, if he's healthy, he's my number 1. For sure. Because you know that his stats would be there. Even when he got hurt and out of the game, he was on pace to do really well up until he got hurt, and then they pulled him out. So, again, it's like, I'd love to put him at 1, but as of right now, Jonathan Taylor is my number 1. I mean, the guy is first in pretty much every category. He's first in rushing yards, first in rushing touchdowns, first in yards per game average, third in all-purpose yards excluding returns. This is debatably the best year he's had in his career so far. I think that it's probably not even really debatable. I think that this has been his best year so far, as long as, knock on wood, there's no injuries. But I think that he's also making a case that, obviously, I'm not saying that he is the best running back in football, but the way he's played so far, he has been the best running back in football this year.
Derrick Henry hasn't looked great. Saquon hasn't been utilized the right way.
Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't really done as much as everyone thought he was going to do. The only one I think is really close with him right now is Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs has looked really, really good this season.
That's the only one that I'd put really, really close, but I still don't know if I would put him there either. Obviously, with the fact that the Colts are 5-1 too, I have Jonathan Taylor as my 1. You brought up another name who I actually have as my number 2 is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Thank God I had that guy in fantasy last year. That guy is a monster. He, I believe, also set a franchise record for the most receiving yards through 6 games in Seahawks history this past week.
Wouldn't be surprised.
No, he passed a couple very, very big names. I believe the names on the list was Steve Largent and Tyler Lockett. I could be wrong. I think those are the 2 names that he passed. But again, very, very prestigious names on that list in their franchise history. So very impressive. Obviously, he's first in receiving yards. He's 5th in receptions. First in yards per game average. He's taken the role of wide receiver 1 after DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett left. So a lot of people were questioning whether he could elevate his game to that level and be the wide receiver 1. Well, I think he proved to everybody.
Didn't he have some crazy game at Ohio State? He had like 300 and some yards.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's a monster. I watched him in college as well, too. Ohio State produces beasts of wide receivers. I mean, of talent, period, but wide receivers, good Lord. I mean, between them, LSU, and Bama, we won't even talk about that, but they're just premier. Number 3, I currently have Bijan. He was actually off my list up until the game against Buffalo.
He had a really great game against Buffalo.
Buffalo, he went, of course he did. Again, fantasy points. He had like 38 something, 0.3 points.
He had like 25 points at half.
Yeah, because he had an 81-yard rushing touchdown. He's third in rushing yards, first in all-purpose yards, excluding returns, 3 total touchdowns on the year. Obviously, he's been the focal point of their offense. Not a surprise why. He's a threat not only in the receiving game or rushing game, but also in the receiving game as well. They've finally started to utilize him the correct way, and obviously it showed. The Falcons have actually been a lot better than I really wanted them to be this year. Obviously, like I said, they have the Rams have their draft pick, so I was hoping a little bit against them, but they've been good. Puka Nacua right now is number 4. Obviously, you don't really have to say much on him. The guy is literally, if it wasn't for the injury, he'd probably be first in every category of receptions, receiving yards, yards per game average. Only one that he wouldn't be is touchdowns. So he's definitely still on my number 4 right now. When he comes back, he'll probably make his way back up the list. Number 5, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this one. This is going to be a tough one because a lot of people are expecting me to say Christian McCaffrey. Unfortunately, no, I'm not going to go McCaffrey.
You could say who you're going to.
I'm going with George Pickens.
For right now, yes, George Pickens is playing amazing. Like, he's been playing like a wide receiver 1. But only thing I am going to say is that when CeeDee Lamb comes back, I don't know how long he can sustain his receptions.
You're right.
Because either one of 2 things is going to happen. Because right now, tight end 1 is Jake Ferguson.
Well, yeah.
So either A, Dak's going to continue throwing the ball to Ferguson, and he's going to throw the ball to CeeDee, and Pickens is going to get less targets. Or B, Dak is going to throw to Lamb, and he's going to throw to Pickens, and he's not going to throw to
That's
Ferguson.
what I think. So, but I think the way that it's been, at least so far, 3rd in receiving yards, tied for 1st in touchdowns, 3rd in yards per game, 12th. He's only 12th in receptions. So the fact that he's 3rd in receiving yards but 12th in receptions is crazy. Obviously,
well, yeah, he put up 1,000 yards last year, catching he was either like in the low 80s or high 70s in passes.
Yeah. It's insane what he's done so far this year. No disrespect to McCaffrey because McCaffrey's been good, but
you have McCaffrey as an honorable mention. Another name I'm gonna say is an honorable mention as of late should be Drake London.
Drake London could definitely be up there as well too. But the only thing is, I don't know if he's surpassing any of the guys on this list. He's been very good, but like look at the roles that they take on. He ain't Bijan Robinson. He's been good.
Damn near close to it.
I don't know about that close either. Listen, Bijan is next level. There's a reason why he's as high on the list as he is right now. So again, no disrespect to Drake London, but he's been very, very good this year. I just don't know if he's offensive player of the year.
He had 187 receiving yards on Monday.
Yeah, Buffalo's secondary is cooked right now too. So that's a big issue that they're going to have to address. But I had McCaffrey as my honorable mention. Obviously, the only reason why is because he's 8th in receiving yards as a running back, which is crazy, and he's 2nd in all-purpose yards, excluding returns. But other than that, he's not really high up in many other categories right now. Even with touchdowns, he's fairly low compared to what you would want from an offensive player of the year. But obviously, being on an offense where he's literally the only healthy starter at this point right now is very impressive. Obviously, they rely heavy on him, but I don't think he's up there. Defensive player of the year. This one, I'm going to go through the 5 names really quick. I don't know how I feel about this one because I think that there's one favorite and the rest is really close, but there's a lot of names that I saw, again, on DraftKings or FanDuel that, like, they have Micah Parsons and Max Crosby in the conversation when they haven't
really done much.
They haven't done much, so it's like, yeah, I know that their presence is up there, no question about it. They're some of the top defensive players in the league, and they make impacts whether they add to the stat sheet or not. But it's like when you got guys like Nick Bonito, like I said, 1st in sacks with 8 on the year. He's tied in quarterback pressures for 1st, and he's also 1st in pressure rate as of right now. He is right now the favorite to win. I don't know how they have Micah still as one of the favorites to win.
Pancaked.
Who?
Sunday, Nick Bonito.
Well, yeah. Well, I know you're not a fan because obviously they're playing against the Giants.
No, but you heard what he said, right?
Yeah, I know. Listen, let them talk all the smack they want. It is what it is. Then number 2, I actually have Aiden Hutchinson right now.
I'm going to say this. Aiden Hutchinson, every single year, is right up there in Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And
he just needs to stay healthy.
He needs to stay healthy.
Oh, yeah. He's a monster. He's tied for second in quarterback pressures right now, fourth in sacks, third in QB knockdowns. This is also after he's coming off of a gruesome leg injury, which we missed. Obviously, we saw last year, and everyone was wondering if he'd come back to the same level. Well, the guy's a monster. He is an absolute monster. I'd have him up there. I have him above some of the guys, even though that they're below him in sacks, because the fact that his presence alone has helped the Lions defense, but his stats are also there, puts him up there as well, too. He's a name that you could put up with Micah Parsons and Max Crosby at this point as well, too. Right now, number 3, I know a lot of Rams fans are probably going to question why I say this, because I would have said Jared Verse, but I'm actually going to go with his partner, Byron Young, who's got 7.5 sacks, which is second in the league. He's tied for first in quarterback pressures as well, tied for fourth in quarterback knockdowns. He's been a monster. Obviously, his story of getting into the NFL is one that if you guys have not seen, definitely go and watch it. It's very wholesome. Unbelievable story. The fact that he went from having 0 college offers to working at, I believe it was a Dollar General, and then getting a offer to play for like a military school football program, got his first D1 offer, went to Tennessee, played extremely well, and then goes to the NFL and becomes an NFL superstar now. It's an awesome story. I love having him up there. I think he's been very good this year. Obviously, I think Jared Verse has helped with his presence because people are focusing more on him, which gives Byron Young the opportunity, but Byron Young's been adding to the stat sheet. He's played extremely well so far this year. I'm a big fan of his. Agent Zero is on fire right now, so keep rocking.
He is.
Yeah, he is number 0 as well, too. We call him Agent Zero. So number 4, I'm going to actually say your boy, Brian Burns. Third in sacks, second in quarterback pressures, sixth in QB knockdowns. Obviously, he's been very effective.
Spider-Man.
Mr. Spider-Man himself.
Spider-Man, yeah.
He's been very good for them as well, too. So it's hard not to give him a look as well. I know a lot of people will say, well, what about like some of the cornerbacks? Or I missed a couple big names as well, too. The 5th name is going to be a little bit of a wild card here, but I'm going to put Devin Lloyd.
He's
from
been
Jacksonville.
Playing very well.
He actually leads the league in interceptions right now with 4. He also has a touchdown and 14 tackles. I know obviously 14 tackles as a linebacker is not really that impressive, but he's more of a pass coverage linebacker than a run game linebacker. So, I mean, it's definitely... He's close. That's why I had him at number 5. I don't really think that he's far up there. Obviously, you're going to have names on the list, like I mentioned, of Micah, Max Crosby, Jared Verse. Nate Landman from the Rams actually should be up on this list as well, too. He's been extremely good. Will Anderson, Pat Surtain. There's a lot of guys that I think can... This list will probably change a lot over the next couple of weeks as well, too. As of right now, I'm just going with off of like the sack leaders and tackles leaders as well, because obviously those guys have been key. So that's probably where I'd lean. Coach of the year, I think that there's a couple that really stand out right now. One of them, I don't even know if I'd really put him on the list either, and that's my own coach, which I'm sorry to say that. Obviously he's one of the best coaches in football, but I don't know if I would put him on for Coach of the Year. I think it's fair to say number 1 coach right now is Shane Steichen.
Exactly.
That's a very fair analysis, I believe, just because 5-1, offense is clicking. They've been very successful.
Not
on a lot
only
of their
is
drives.
The offense clicking, you have Daniel Jones at the helm of the offense.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is Daniel Jones running the offense. They've been on fire. They haven't really punted that much. They don't turn the ball over very frequently. The defenses look good. Special teams unit has been fairly good. Obviously, they lost their kicker. Schrader, I don't know how long he's out for. I think he may be out for some time. But 5-1, when no one expected you to be 5-1, a lot of kudos go to Shane Steichen for that. He's been up there as well. I put Todd Bowles as number 2.
Yep, you have Baker Mayfield right there, MVP talks.
Yeah, you have Baker and MVP talks.
You have an offense that is not completely healthy.
And they're still finding ways to remain at 5-1. They have comeback wins in almost every game. I mean, it's hard not to give Bowles a lot of credit there. The game plans.
You can make an argument that that they could be 6-0. Baker just made one bad decision against Philadelphia.
Yeah, or if that, the early blocked punt wasn't returned for a touchdown either. There's one little mistake that could have potentially made them 6-0. Same thing with a lot of other teams as well, too, so you can't, it's just a possibility.
But what I'm saying is that, like, for Coach of the Year, like, Todd Bowles is
He's up there. He's up there, no question. I also have Dan Campbell at 3. Just because, you lose your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. A lot of people expected the Lions to have a regressed season. They've still been very, very good. They're still a contender. They're still 4-2. Even after losing to the Chiefs this week, they're a very, very good team. I like his mentality.
Now,
the culture is tough there, so you got to give him credit.
Now, one thing I'm going to say about the Lions is that, yes, they're playing well, but I just don't agree with what happened at the end of the game. After the game. Like, what was Brian Branch doing?
He's a head case, man. And it's not disrespect to him either, because I know it was the heat of the moment. You were pissed off that you lost, especially to the Chiefs, because that's a big game. I know they wanted to win it. But it's like, dude, show a little class and some sportsmanship. You don't need to go after – all Juju did was shook his hand out and was like, hey, good game, man. And to smack him in the face and then grab him and pull him down by his face mask to the ground, it's like, that's really childish.
No, he kicked his ass.
Well, I know he went further than that, but that's how the whole thing started, and then it just dogpiled. But that was very childish. I thought he was going to get suspended for more than one game. I'm surprised it was only one.
One with no pay.
Yeah, which is absolutely crazy to me. But again, he'll learn at some point. That was just a very, very bad mistake. We'll go back to coaches of the year here.
Liam Cohen.
I
agree with this. I'm not going to disagree because going into the season, you asked me where Jacksonville would have been. I would have said right at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, and they sit at, I believe, at what, 4-2 right now?
Yep, they're 4-2.
Culture looks a lot different. ETN is back to his big form. Trevor Lawrence has played a lot better. Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, obviously, it's a big duo as well, but they still haven't really seen. Exactly. Duval has been very, very good this year. So, very surprising. Obviously, they did lose to Seattle this past week, but Seattle's no slouch. So, definitely a tougher team to play. Anybody in the NFC West, except for maybe like the Cardinals, is a little bit tougher. But I will give them a lot of credit. I think Liam Cohen's done a great job with Jacksonville so far.
Yeah, Sean McVay.
And then I have Sean McVay at 5. Obviously, I know that's very replaceable. I could potentially see Kyle Shanahan being on it as well, too. Just because with the fact that the 49ers are completely banged up and they're still finding ways to be, tied for first in the division, I could potentially see that as well, too.
Yeah, but their schedule is a cakewalk.
I know it is, but still, with all the guys that they have injured, they should not be nearly as good as they are. And they are still finding ways to win even with the depth that they've got. So you got to credit him there. We talked about this a little bit the last time, too. I said for comeback player of the year, I thought it was going to be Daniel Jones. I will stand on that still. I think that Daniel Jones right now should be comeback player of the year. They actually don't have him as comeback player of the year. Right now, they have Aiden Hutchinson as the favorite to win, obviously because of the gruesome leg injury and then coming back and being one of the best defensive players in football. Now that you kind of look at it that way, I wouldn't be surprised if Hutchinson wins. I just still highly believe that the story behind Daniel Jones and the fact that he's gone from a bum, literally a bum, people were calling for his head in New York.
Yeah, it was not good for him in New York.
And becoming, a very, very efficient quarterback. Being, I think he's second in completion percentage. He's up there in touchdowns. His quarterback rating is up there. He's been very good. I would still personally have him at 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year that does change depending on how certain players go. We also talked about it a little bit last time. I think that Dak and Christian McCaffrey, that's my 2 and 3 with Hutchinson at 4. I think that those guys are currently in the conversation as well. I probably could replace Hutchinson and put him at the 2 and then put Dak at 3 and McCaffrey at 4.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a little bit more fitting as well. But the one that I really do want to touch on, which is my number 5, is Darren Waller. I know a lot of people are like, where did you get that from? But the fact that he came from...
It's not like out of left field. He's actually been having it's been quiet, but a really decent season. Fairly decent season.
You know what they say, the defense is trying to draw up a scheme on him. What you mean I ain't the one? Every time I ran a route, they had the whole freaking team on me. His rap song he released, Top Play. That's his lyrics. Every time I ran it, So He's got 4 touchdowns through 3 games for the Dolphins. I know obviously the Dolphins have not been good, but he has been one of the bright spots, at least for the Dolphins. It's very cool to see him come back and turn his career around, as long as another one, he can stay healthy, because he's another one that gets banged up a lot. So I hope he stays healthy as well too. But that's probably very close with all of the awards that we have. I still think that, obviously, like I said, I think Daniel Jones should win that too. But
yeah,
I think that it's between the top 4 is very close. It's very close, but I really hope that Daniel Jones does win, because that'd be a great story. But to kind of close it out, we'll go over our predictions for Week 7 as well. Obviously, we already talked about the Steelers and Bengals, so that game will not be going on. But the first game of the week this weekend will be on Sunday morning.
Hold on a second. Do you think that if he keeps playing the way that he does, Aaron Rodgers would be in the conversations for Comeback Player of the Year? Because the Jets did cut him.
No.
No?
He'd be maybe in the conversation. I doubt he'd ever win it, though. I doubt it. It would be very, very tough. I could see it, I could see him in the conversation. I don't know if I would give him the trophy, though. I think that there's too many guys in front of him, like Dak and McCaffrey, Hutchinson, Waller, and them. He's probably on the betting list somewhere in there, too, but I just don't see it happening. But,
Rodgers has played phenomenal this season.
Mm-hmm. He has, so it'll be tough. But, okay, going into the predictions before we close out the show here. First game of the weekend on Sunday morning, which is going to be great for me. It means I'll be up nice and early, will be the Rams versus the Jaguars in London. Obviously, where there will be no Puka Nacua playing this week. Who are you taking for that game?
Taking the Rams.
I'm also going to take the Rams to win that game as well, too. I think the Jaguars are very good, but I just think that even though Puka Nacua's out, that the Rams defense will give the Jacksonville Jaguars a little push. A little trouble for Lawrence, and I think Stafford will be able to handle it as well. It could be an upset game, though. I wouldn't be surprised, just because Jacksonville does always do well in London. That's like their second home field, so it'll be close, especially with no Puka, but I'm still going to take the Rams for that. You have the Raiders at the Chiefs this week. Obviously, Rashee Rice is back in the lineup. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to win. The Raiders just have not been good this year.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'm not,
I would not bet on the Raiders at all.
No, do not.
Then you have the Dolphins at the Browns this week. I'm actually going to take the Cleveland Browns to win this week. I think that the Dolphins are an absolute mess. I think Cleveland's defense gives Miami's offensive line big trouble, and Tua turns the ball over a lot. I think it's a very, very low-scoring game.
Well, I don't know how many passes are going to get thrown that game.
I saw there's huge wind gusts.
There's going to be 50 to 60 mile an hour winds.
I was seeing a little
I
bit
think
of that
it's going to be a lot of checkdowns to the running backs, a lot of.
But again,
I'm happy for it because my 2 fantasy running backs are A-Chain and Judkins.
Yeah, but again,
should get a lot of touches that game.
I think it's going to be a very run-heavy game, but I think that Cleveland's defensive front is stronger than Miami's defensive front, which is why I give Cleveland a little edge on this one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Cleveland the edge at home.
I'm going to take. I don't want to say it, but I'm taking the Dolphins.
Okay. I just think that this may be, hopefully, please, dear God, that this is the final week of Mike McDaniel. What a shocker.
Well, it might not only be the final week of Mike McDaniel.
Getting a call from TD Bank, really? Come on, bro.
It could also be the final week of Jalen Waddle in Miami.
That is very true as well, too, which obviously we're going to have the trade deadline to talk about in a few weeks because that comes up, I believe, on November 4th. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see.
As of right now, the front runners I see for Waddle, which I'm happy for,
the Giants.
Are at 1. If they ask for a second-round pick, Joe Shane doesn't know how to use second-round picks properly, so just give it to Miami. Go for it.
Go for it.
We obviously need a receiver.
Yeah, or Olave for you guys too would be possible. A possibility. I said Alvin Kamara was going to get moved. I doubt that happens because supposedly he said if I get moved, I'm going to be drinking pina colada somewhere and I'm done. So I doubt he gets moved now if he really says that, because if he does, I think he genuinely may retire because he wants to be a lifelong Saint, I guess. So very shocking, but
so does Olave. Olave doesn't want to leave either.
Well, he may not have as much of a choice as Alvin Kamara. Kamara's got the tenure. He does not. So next we have the Patriots at the Titans.
I'm taking the Patriots.
I'm taking the Patriots by so many freaking points. It's not even funny. Mike Vrabel, revenge game against his former team. I know obviously there's a big stigma around head coaches getting fired and then the interim coach stepping up and the team elevating their play for the week. I doubt that happens against Mike Vrabel and the Patriots right now. The Patriots look a lot better than like we called it at the beginning of the year before the season started. I think they've been very good.
Yeah.
I think that the Patriots do win this game as well. Panthers at the Jets. I'm going with the Carolina Panthers.
I am also taking the Panthers.
Although I would not be surprised if this could be the week that the Jets finally get a win because the Panthers suck on the road but are very, very good at home.
Yeah.
This could potentially be the upset of the week, maybe, but I still think that the Panthers are better than the Jets are, so I'm going to take the Panthers there.
The Panthers, they were smart. They leave Rico Dowdle at RB1.
Yeah, they could, or maybe trade Dowdle to somebody or Chuba Hubbard to somebody. I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
Because Rico Dowdle came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's been very, very good. Yeah, I think he's like 5th in rushing yards this year so far, and he's only played in a couple games. So.
He's only playing 2 games.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts.
Back-to-back weeks with over 200-plus all-purpose yards.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Never would have saw that coming. Then we got the Saints at the Bears.
I'm taking the Bears.
I'm also taking the Bears as well too.
They looked really, really good against the Commanders the other night.
Shockingly good. I was surprised. Very, very surprised.
Ben Johnson obviously knows what he's doing with an offense because look what he did with Detroit. But he's kind of slowly starting to see everything start to click.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely see that as well too. I think that the Bears have been much better. And I think that they can beat the Saints. I don't think the Saints really have the talent right now either. I mean, we've talked about that. This one is a little interesting. Eagles at Vikings. I'm going to take the Eagles to bounce back, especially if J.J. McCarthy starts. I think that the Eagles give him absolute nightmare.
He's not starting.
They were saying that he made his return to practice and that they may consider starting him. So if they do start him, I'm rolling with the Eagles. If not, I could see the Vikings winning this game since they are at home. But I still think that the Eagles will find a way back into the win column as well, too. I think that the 2-game skid is a little bit premature and people are kind of panicking for no reason. They're the defending Super Bowl champs for a reason.
You know my opinion on the Eagles.
I know. But we won't even go there. Who are you taking for that game? Are you taking the Vikings or are you taking the Eagles?
If J.J. McCarthy plays, my pick is the Eagles.
So you're basically the same as
but
me.
If
Carson Wentz starts?
If Carson Wentz starts, Eagles aren't even a question. I'm taking the Vikings.
Okay. Wow. All right. Next game, we got the Colts at the Chargers. I think that the Colts win again this week. I think that the Colts are extremely good. They're a lot better than people give them credit for. I'm going to take the Colts. I'm assuming you're probably going Colts as well.
I am going Colts, only because the Chargers, I don't know how sustainable Vidal is at
running back.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I don't think that having a third string
I wouldn't be surprised if they are the team that goes out and trades for Chuba Hubbard.
Maybe. They could. They very well could. I was surprised
or Rico Dowdle.
Maybe. There's a lot of guys I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, the trade deadline is going to be very crazy. Giants at the Broncos this week coming up. I mentioned it before. The Broncos are doing a ceremony for Demaryius Thomas. I'm going to roll with the Broncos at home this week over the Giants.
I'm taking the Giants.
Of course you are. I figured you probably would. No disrespect, but hey, every time I pick the Giants, they lose. Every time I pick against the Giants, they've seemed to win. So I'm going to take the Broncos. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. Packers at the Cardinals this week. I'm going to take the Packers to win. It could be an upset, though. This one could be sneaky.
I'm saying this right now. Kind of similar to the Vikings-Eagles game.
Yeah. If Murray starts, I'm taking the Packers. If Brissett starts,
they looked way better with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback.
They do.
There's no denying it.
Hey, you know what? I'll go as far as this. If Jacoby Brissett starts, I'm going to take the Cardinals to win. But if Kyler Murray starts, I'm taking the Packers to win. No question.
You said it perfect.
Yeah. That's the way I'll put it. Then we have the Commanders at the Cowboys. I think Washington bounces back this week.
I think Washington also does bounce back. I don't see Dallas winning that many games this season.
No, and especially since they cannot stop an offense at all.
No.
Their defense has been so bad this year. I think that I looked it up. They averaged the most yards allowed per game and most points averaged per game allowed. So even without Terry McLaurin,
they are number one in offensive points per game being averaged this year.
Yeah.
and they are 32nd in points given up.
Yeah, that's bad. I just don't see
They
them
have
winning.
the best offense statistically and the worst defense statistically. That is
it's bad.
when you have people on your team like, well, I don't know if Deron Bland is playing yet, but
Yeah, but I don't know if Terry McLaurin is either.
you
So
have you have Trayvon Diggs, you got other corners, and you have Malik Hooker still, I think.
Trayvon Diggs won't be there for long. I guarantee you, he's probably traded too. There's a lot of guys I wouldn't be surprised if they move, especially if they lose this week as well too. I'm going to go Commanders. I'm assuming you're probably going Commanders.
I am
as well.
going Commanders too.
That's the smart move to go. Then we have the Falcons at the 49ers. This one's going to be a tough one for me.
Is this the Sunday night game?
I believe this is the Sunday night. I am going to take the Atlanta Falcons. I think that the Falcons defense really showed up against Buffalo. I don't know if the 49ers whole injury thing is sustainable, especially after losing Fred Warner last week.
Yeah, that was
another bad injury. I'm going to take the Falcons this week.
I also think I am going to take the Falcons this week. I don't see.
The Falcons have one of the
49ers.
highest ranked defenses in football right now as well, too. I think that gives the 49ers some problems, and I don't know how the 49ers are going to be able to stop Bijan in that offense. If it plays the way like it did last week against the Bills, I don't see them beating the Falcons. Monday night, we have two very good games, though. Buccaneers at the Lions is the first one, and they have the Texans at the Seahawks is the second. For the Buccaneers-Lions, I'm actually going to take the Lions to win. I think that the Lions need to win a little bit more after losing last week to the Chiefs. I think the Buccaneers are kind of due for a loss, especially now that they're down Evans. Well, if Evans comes back, maybe, but no Godwin, no Egbuka as well. I think that the injuries do kind of hurt him a little bit in this game.
I'm taking the Bucs only because of how well Baker Mayfield has dealt with injuries.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I could potentially see the Bucs winning. I just think that the Lions at home is going to be a tough matchup, and the Buccaneers are 5-1. They're kind of, I wouldn't say that they're due for a loss, but they're kind of due for a loss where it's not really going to affect them as much. Lions, if they lose, go to 4-3, which kind of hurts their run at, especially since they got a couple teams behind them. The Bears are right behind them right now as well, too. So I think that the Lions need this game more and they want to bounce back. So I'm going to take the Lions at home. And then between the Texans and Seahawks, I'm going to go with the Seahawks at home. I don't think the Texans offense still
I'm
has
taking
it.
the Seahawks too, but all right. So I'm just going to speak upon this quickly. I get that Buccaneers-Lions, I get having the two games on Monday, right? Mm-hmm. One starts at 7, one starts at 8. That's perfectly fine. Why the hell are you starting a game at 10 o'clock at night?
Who?
The Texans and Seahawks game starts at 10 p.m.
Does it really? Oh, well, maybe it's because it's West Coast. They're playing in Seattle. Yeah, no, they're playing in Seattle, so that's why right there. So that's going to be a tough one.
No, I get the time difference, but
the NFL doesn't really get it. They have a lot of decisions that they need to start making.
Flex the time schedule, number 1 or number 2, make them play.
Or just stick with one Monday night game and do 2 Sunday night games.
Or just add another Sunday game in the 4:25 slot. There's usually only 3 games being played at that time.
That's what I'm saying. Just add another afternoon game. It's not that hard. So, listen, I don't mind having extra football.
Or even if you want to, you can do a Thursday night game, a Friday night game, or a Thursday night and a Saturday night. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, who knows? Soon it's going to be one game every week.
Or if you want to do an afternoon game that's not on a Sunday, do it on a Saturday.
Yeah, I doubt that, though. With college football on, they'll never get the views. So it's just, I don't know why they did it that way either, but, the NFL can be very confusing when it comes to that kind of stuff, too. So who the hell knows?
Because they're going to have people staying up till 1 in the morning to watch the
listen, I'll be up anyway watching, so obviously I love sports enough, so I don't really care. I'll be watching it anyway.
No, I'm not. I don't care either. I'll be watching the whole thing, but what I'm saying is it's going to be it's not like, okay, I get it. This way it's better. I'm going to say this. By the time the first game ends, the second one should just be starting.
Okay. No, you're right. Yeah, it's going to end up being very, very late. So,
But
I don't know. We'll see what the NFL decides to do. Maybe they do flex it. But that being said, thank you for tuning in to the Straight Outta Stratford episode number 17. Sorry we did not have the guest speaker today. He ended up canceling on us, but we still had a great time recording this episode today, and we will see you guys next week. I am your host, Zach.
I am Julian, and hopefully we're gonna get Mike on here soon.
Yeah,
then
we'll have a guest speaker.
after him, we're gonna hopefully get more people on here.
Yeah, and we
I've
can
had a few
expand it a little
people
bit.
ask when they can come on, and I just said we're almost ready to have guests.
Yeah, so we will definitely start having guests very soon. But that being said, we will end up catching you guys next week.